New defender Radu Drăgușin has spoken out why he joined Tottenham Hotspur Football Club and rejected Bayern Munich. Spurs are still tracking Lloyd. The Spurs women have just been drawn against Charlton Athletic in the 5th round of the Women's FA Cup. And reports are stating that Spurs still want to offload 3 more players in this January transfer window.
Chris Cowlin. Fan cams. Club news. Transfer news. Match previews. Legend interviews. Spurs women. Press conferences. Covering everything Tottenham and England.
Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping well. This is another edition of Tottenham News where I'll be going through all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Let's start by talking about Rodrigo Bentancur. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club announced on Monday that Rodrigo Bentancur has been named our supporters' HSBC Player of the Match after his goal and overall performance in our 2-2 draw at Manchester United on Sunday. Rodrigo Bentancur claimed 42% of the vote in an exclusive poll on the official app after the game. 442 have just reported that Tottenham to battle Italian giants for defender. Tottenham are looking to bring in another new defender but face a battle on the transfer market. The report states that Tottenham have been put on warning that they may need to be willing to stump up some serious money if they want to sign Lloyd rather than him moving to Milan or Juventus this summer. The Bournemouth defender will be out of contract in the summer, and it is believed that he is still of interest to Tottenham, but they may be potentially at a disadvantage when it comes to fending off bids from abroad. That's because English clubs cannot sign other English-based clubs due to pre-contract deals. There would be nothing stopping Kelly from agreeing to a summer move overseas this month if he so desired. In this report, it says that Tottenham could ask Kelly and his representatives to keep their powder dry with a view to a free transfer in the summer. But if Kelly wanted to have more certainty as to his future plans, that could pose a problem. After all, it only takes an injury for a summer move to fall apart unless there is a contract already in place. The Daily Express have also reported on this story, and it has been suggested if Tottenham want to make sure of things, they may need to move now, and that would mean parting with a transfer fee. With informed Bournemouth obviously keen to maintain their recent excellent run to keep themselves well clear of the relegation zone, they are unlikely to let one of their best players go completely on the cheap, regardless of his contract situation. ESPN have just published a very interesting article on defender Djed Spence, who of course has just left Tottenham Hotspur to join Genoa on loan with an option to buy. This article states that sources have told ESPN that former Tottenham Hotspur head coach Antonio Conte spoke with Djed Spence directly during the negotiations in an effort to convince him to join Tottenham. This was a point which led to frustration in the players' camp later on when the Italian boss repeatedly said and referred to Djed Spence as a club signing. The reports state that sources have told ESPN that Conte did not provide much instruction to Djed Spence on how he could improve or what he needed to do to break into the first team. Perhaps this is partly why he prefers working with senior players. The report also states that Djed Spence needed guidance and didn't get it, yet multiple training ground sources suggested to ESPN that he did not react in the best way. Questions began to grow about his attitude and off-field activity. On several occasions, he was either late for training or would turn up for a session with barely a few minutes to spare. Some questioned his work ethic, and by the time January 2023 came around, Djed Spence had not even started a game, making only 6 sub-appearances. In 4 of those, he was introduced in either the 88th or 89th minute. The report also states that Djed Spence lived next door to Greta Steenston, who began work at Tottenham as performance director in the same month that the defender signed for Tottenham, and Steenston become aware of loud music regularly coming from Djed Spence's house late at night, and sources have told ESPN that internally the club began to harbour concerns over his attitude and commitment to making the most of his career. New Tottenham Hotspur defender Radu Drăgușin has spoken out about joining Tottenham, and he was asked the question, did he turn down Bayern Munich? And he said, yes, that is right. I chose Tottenham because I felt it was the right step for me, and I had a really good conversation with the coach. I saw that they wanted me from a long time, like a month before the transfer window, so I thought that this was the right choice for me. I really believe in this team, and it's a good environment for me to continue my career and to progress in this incredible stadium and these teammates. Drăgușin then went on to say, my dream was to play in the Premier League, so that was a part of it. I think the team here, the guys here, are on a good trajectory, and I felt that joining them is going to help me a lot. Radu Drăgușin then went on to say, the sky's the limit. We hope to be as high up in the league table as possible, and then we can see from there. Drăgușin also said he likes the physicality, intensity, speed, and the aggression of the Premier League. A report has just been published by the Football Insider. They are stating that Tottenham will now let 3 more senior stars leave this month. Tottenham are willing to listen to offers for Ryan Sessegnon, Brian Hill and Sergio Reguilon. It is believed that Ange Postecoglou's side will even sanction loan moves for Brian Hill and Ryan Sessegnon if the pair get appropriate offers. In this report, it says that Spurs have already allowed Djed, Spence and Ashley Phillips to depart on a temporary basis in the current window, and further exits are expected before the 1st of Feb cut-off. As revealed by the Football Insider, there is a strong possibility of Reguilon, who has interest from Brentford, leaving the club on loan again in the January transfer window, but both Brian Hill, 22, and Sessegnon, 23, have had limited minutes this season and are not considered key members of the squad. And lastly, on Monday evening, the draw for the Women's FA Cup 5th round took place. The Spurs women have been drawn at home against Charlton Athletic. The game will be played on the weekend, 10th to the 11th of Feb. The full draw is as follows. London City Lionesses against Liverpool. Arsenal will play Manchester City. Leicester against Birmingham. Wolves against Brighton, Spurs against Charlton, Forest against Everton, Southampton against Manchester United, and Chelsea against Crystal Palace. Now, my thoughts on everything covered in this episode. Let's start by talking about the Manchester United game and Rodrigo Bentancur picking up the Man of the Match award. No one else is going to get that Man of the Match award, in my opinion. I thought Bentancur was absolutely brilliant. Of course, he's had so many injury problems of late. He's come back, and you know that there's so much more to come from him, and you know that there is so much more to come from him in terms of speed and fitness. But I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Bossed that midfield, of course, got our equaliser as well. Really, really good finish. Skip played extremely well as well. I know he's had a lot of flack from a number of Spurs fans in recent months, but every player is stepping up, and I think we are in a great position, in the league table. 5th, 5 points away from top. With the amount of problems that we've had this season, to be in this position is simply incredible. We are in the mix for top 4, and Andrews even said we're in the mix for, being a Premier League title contender. I'm not going to get carried away, but I tell you what, from what I've seen so far this season, what Ange has done so far this season at the football club, with the amount of injury, suspensions, and now players off on international duty, with all of those things going on, to be in this position is incredible. Absolutely incredible. But Bentancur, as I say, a really, really good performance at Old Trafford from him. And it's going to be very, very interesting when all of these players start coming back. Maddison's expected back for the Manchester City game in the FA Cup. That's exciting news. When Son returns, when Sarr comes back, when Basuma comes back, when Kulusevski, of course, he missed the game on Sunday. When all of these players come back, it's a very, very exciting starting 11. It's going to be a very, very exciting squad, because we're going to have a lot of depth on the bench as well. And of course, Solomon's got to come back. Perisic, we know that's not going to play for Tottenham again. He's going to be heading out the door either in this January window or when his contract expires in the summer. But a lot of changes have been made in this past 6 months at Tottenham, and they are all for the better. And Ange Postecoglou has been driving this and been the real driving force behind it, which has been great. So it's great to see, so positive right now. The fan base is extremely positive, and I haven't even mentioned Drăgușin making his debut right at the end of the Man United game. Werner, of course, started the game, got an assist. I thought he did okay. I think there's so much more to come from him. He's had very little minutes this season, so he might be a little bit rusty right now. But I think from now until the end of the season, I think we're going to see some exciting sparks and assists and goals from him. And, you know, as I say, I'm really, really excited with what I'm seeing at the moment, and really excited by our league position where we are as a football club at the moment. And, of course, we've got the FA Cup tie against Manchester City coming up. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot of the time, you know, in some of these videos and episodes, because, you know, I'm so on board with what Ange is doing. And, you know, when you see us doing transfer business early, when you see that we've got a young, exciting squad with so much more to come, and that is the exciting thing. When you think of how many times Ange has actually had every single player fit and available to choose from, it hasn't been many times at all this season. So when that does eventually happen, I tell you what, we are going to be a real force. And, you know, if we can do any decent business from now until February the 1st, when the transfer window ends, you know, a midfielder perhaps, it would be even more exciting. And, of course, you know, as Andrew said, this is only the second window. We've got the third window in the summer. So what on earth are we going to do next year? You know, it is exciting times ahead for us. The Spurs women came back from 2-0 down to win 3-2. In the FA Cup fourth round on Sunday. An incredible victory for them at home. They played Sheffield United, and, you know, to win that game, they've now been drawn against Charlton Athletic. So, you know, wishing them all of the very best. 3 players to go out the door in this January transfer window, possibly, have said the Football Insider. Bryan Gil, Ryan Sessegnon and Sergio Reguilon. It's fully expected that Sergio Reguilon will go out the door. He's in talks at the moment with Brentford, so that's going to be an interesting one. Ryan Sessegnon is injured again, sadly, states Ange Postecoglou in his press conference after the Manchester United game. Hopefully he'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. And Bryan Gil, you know, will these guys get much game time? Bryan Gil put in a good cross, actually, at the end of that Manchester United game. Sadly, there was no one there to have a shot. But that's going to be interesting to see who now is surplus to requirements for Postecoglou, and we will certainly see that in the summer, I feel. I think that a few more players will go out the door, certainly in the summer, because Ange will have a proper good shake-up again of bringing, you know, some real quality in, strengthening areas where we need it, and, you know, 1 or 2 more players will go out the door, I'm sure. Lloyd Kelly, that's going to be an interesting one, because, of course, he's out of contract at the end of the summer. Will Spurs put a bid in for him from now until the end of the window, because that is a player that we have tracked for some time. And Djed Spence, so interesting. I've heard so much about Djed Spence, you know, since he signed for us, about his attitude being bad. It's very, very disappointing to hear and to see that, because at the end of the day, there is so much talent. And this situation just reminds me so much of Tanguy Ndombele, when players have bad attitudes, because they have so much talent. You know, they both come to a huge football club like Spurs, and they should be performing week in, week out. And it's so disappointing to see. I just hope that both players, you know, Djed Spence is now gone off to Genoa. This is another opportunity that he needs to just grab. He needs to grab this opportunity and show the world what he can do with his feet, rather than having this bad attitude as a footballer. You know, do all of the talking on the pitch. It's just so disappointing to read all of these stories and to hear what I do about him. And, you know, Tanguy Ndombele, another one. He's got to grab opportunity now. You know, he's gone on loan again. Another opportunity. You've just got to grab it. This is what the difference is now. With Radu Drăgușin coming in and seeing his attitude. He's only 21 years old. He's got such a good attitude, such good mentality. He wants to go to the very top. I know some people are very worried about the comments that his agent have made and he is making now, because he said that this is a good step for me. I know some people don't like that word that he's used. It is a good step for me, because we know that his agent has come out and said that he wants to possibly join Barcelona or Real Madrid. That is the real dream. But of course, there is a long way to go. If that is the case, and Spurs are a stepping club for him, let's get some good years out of him, and you know, let's try and win some trophies with these players, because at the moment Ange Postecoglou is building a very, very special team. He's building a very young team, you know, real talent, And, when we put a few trophies in the cabinet, if we put a few trophies in the cabinet under Ange, who would want to leave the football club? Spurs could be in the Champions League. We could be having a few trophies in the cabinet in the next couple of years. Very exciting times ahead. I'm not going to get carried away by saying that. I know some people will be screaming, saying, don't be saying about trophies and don't be saying about Champions League yet. But you can see, I think the vision is certainly there with Ange. And I've watched many interviews, actually, over the years with lots of managers about attitudes and how they deal with the dressing room. Neil Warnock, he won promotion many times, and he said in an interview once that he didn't have the best team, but he knew how to get the best out of certain players that weren't that great. And I think that Ange gets the best out of players. He sees something in players, he gets the best out of them. He identifies what Spurs need, and he's now bringing those players in. Timo Werner is a player that I think has surprised a lot of people. Certainly pundits, ex-players, etc. People in football, they're like, why on earth are Spurs going to get Timo Werner? But, Ange said in his press conference the other day, Timo Werner was banging in goals and he was playing extremely well, then we wouldn't be able to afford him. He knows what he can get out of Timo Werner. He identifies what he can get out of certain players. And when you look at, playing 4 fullbacks in a game at the Etihad against Manchester City and getting a result there, some of the results, some of the performances that we've had so far this season, when we haven't had key players available, and has put players in positions that they haven't played before. He's made them do things that they haven't done before on a football pitch. And that is what man management is about, getting the best out of players, making them believe in themselves, making them believe that the team can go far. And I think that everyone is fully on board at the moment. Everyone is believing that we can go far. Everyone is believing that we can get Champions League football next season, finish in the top 4. And just said, that we could be in a title race this season. As I keep saying, and as I keep using that same word, it is exciting. He's very, very excited. Only 6 months in of him at the football club, he's transformed this football club. And, going back to the Djed Spence episode, it's about having the right attitude. And Ange, I think, is exceptional on getting people with the right attitude. Hence his FaceTime calls, his phone calls to players. He wants to know a little bit about them, a little bit about their personality. And Ange says, what he expects, what he wants, and what he sees the vision of this football club. And these players buy into it straight away. And, he's building something extremely special. So long may this continue. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you in the next one. Come on, you Spurs.